What happens when a major mainstream country star, the kind that music snobs might love to hate, covers those music snobs' favorite song?
So girl, leave your boots by the bed, we ain't leaving.
That's what Morgan Wallen has been doing this year, covering Jason Isbell's beloved hit, Cover Me Up, and the internet's talking about it, and so are we. Now, I've mentioned Morgan Wallen here and there on this channel, but I've never really done a dedicated video for him because he's actually been a kind of hard artist to wrap my mind around. Morgan hails from a little town called Sneedville, Tennessee, population about 1,300. He was the son of a Baptist pastor, he played music growing up, and in 2014, he got his first break when he was cast on The Voice. He made it a few rounds into the show, covering songs like Story of My Life by One Direction, and Collide by Howie Day, and Stay by Florida Georgia Line. But he didn't make it to the finals and was eliminated.
Morgan Wallen, everybody. Thank you, Morgan. Best of luck to you.
2 years later, though, Morgan was in Nashville and he signed with Big Loud Records, the most appropriately named record label ever because the production style tends to be too big and too loud for my taste. His long locks from The Voice were gone. He got the standard Nashville bro haircut. He put out a single called The Way I Talk about, I don't know, being proud of being a Southerner and having a deep accent.
Some people like to make a little fun of the way I talk.
The song was a minor hit through 2017, but it really wasn't until the next year, 2018, that Morgan Wallen's career started to take off. First, he released a collaboration with Florida Georgia Line, his fellow act that is also produced by Joey Moy, and this song became a pretty big hit.
Yeah, turn it up, down, up, down, up, down.
I talked about it a little bit in my video about Hardy, but it's a smart, dumb song about things going up, down, whether that is your beer bottle, or your boat, or your hands at a concert. That said, it's also still just a country party song, and those have felt dime a dozen for the past decade. He then released his debut album, If I Know Me. And despite the fact that this album to me was way overbearing on a production standpoint, loaded with far too much percussion and too many pop grooves, and the fact that it felt often pretty pandering to just affirming a Southern lifestyle rather than getting into the heart of who this artist is, at the same time as all that, it really intrigued me because there were a few moments on this record that I loved. To me, it's clear that Morgan has a really good ear for wordplay and he enjoys it. Whether that's on a song like Up Down or whether it's on a song like Happy Hour, where he's talking about getting over a breakup at a bar, saying, I'm here at happy hour, relationship is done. But there's no better wordplay on the album than the song Whiskey Glasses.
I'ma need some whiskey glasses, cause I don't wanna see the truth.
From the get-go, you have a lyric that goes from self-pity to alcohol when he says, pour me another drink. And he talks about wanting to cope with this failed relationship with some whiskey glasses, meaning both some literal glasses of alcohol and the skewed vision that alcohol can bring you. Now, I think the music video for Whiskey Glasses is interesting, because not only does it feature some of the most exquisite acting from Hardy and Morgan Wallen.
All your boys are here. C, we're gonna pregame, get a little whiskey buzz.
It also features a sort of transformation from Morgan Wallen, almost like how Peter Parker realizes he's Spider-Man when looking in the mirror. Morgan Wallen gets his hair cut into a mullet, he rips the sleeves off of his flannel to turn it into a cutoff, and thus his new uniform is born. It's like a glow down that became a big career glow up for Morgan, because this look has kind of immediately become recognizable as Morgan Wallen's thing. Just like Eric Church's aviators, just like Luke Combs and his Columbia shirt with a solo cup, Morgan Wallen is the guy with a mullet and a cutoff. Now, Whiskey Glasses kind of became this big runaway hit. In fact, when the year-end charts were just released by Billboard, Whiskey Glasses was the #1 song at country radio for the whole year. And in a year with hits like Beer Never Broke My Heart and Even Though I'm Leaving, that's pretty damn impressive. Now, Morgan Wallen released one other single from that album called Chasin' You. That is still technically the single. It's climbing the charts slowly. It also may or may not feature a dead mannequin woman in the video, You Tell Me. But as Morgan's career has gone on, as If I Know Me has become a gold record, and he has continued to amass a larger and larger fan base, he has started to make decisions that I think really are separating him from your standard radio dude that's not going to take any chances and is just going to keep pumping out party songs for 5 years till his Nashville shelf life has expired, and then he just goes and plays county fairs until he's 60. Don't get me wrong, he could very much still do that, but right now, I'm sitting here looking at this guy very intrigued. And that's not because he made a song with Diplo called Heartless. If you didn't know, Diplo is an EDM producer that's currently collaborating for a special project with all these different country stars, and I have nothing against the project in and of itself. I would want to work with him too. I just am a little bit leery that it's going to start to make its way onto country radio, and then, you know, this whole comeback of instruments is going to be out the window. No, the thing that's intrigued me a whole lot more is the fact that Morgan Wallen has been covering Jason Isbell's Cover Me Up.
Cover me up, I know you're enough.
Now, in the very last video on this channel, I talked about how Jason Isbell's Southeastern, I would say, is one of the most influential albums of the past decade. Jason was once the lead singer of the Drive-By Truckers. Southeastern has become this kind of iconic album in his catalog because it was the first thing he recorded after getting sober. You might recognize his wife from the band The Highwomen. Her name is Amanda Shires. She also has a big solo career, but this song is really a love letter to her and almost a mission statement that I'm gonna get my life together. Cover Me Up is a beautiful lyric because it's a song that finds Jason Isbell almost incapable of believing in himself and only able to because his wife believes in him. He says, "Cover me up, know you're enough to use me for good." It's kind of complex. You have to think about it for a second. But layered in with that is the sort of sexiness of saying, girl, we're not leaving this room, but also just the solemnness of how we need to be together because you're the only person that can see me clearly right now. It's heavy, it's full, it's beautiful, it's sexy, it's all of those things all at once, and that's what makes it an iconic song. For fans of Jason Isbell, this song is super personal and super important to them because it represented a real turning point in his life, and it reminds them of this iconic, perfect singer-songwriter, gorgeous album. Morgan started covering this about a year ago. He released an acoustic video for it online. Then he released a real music video for his official studio version of this song. The video kind of gets into the story of a soldier struggling with PTSD and his woman kind of being his source of stability despite his tendencies to want to harm himself. It's a good, sad video that'll have you asking, is this guy wearing mascara or are his eyelashes that long? And have you asking other questions about military and love and all those things too. Now, the response to Morgan Wallen singing this song has been positive, but not without some shade. And that all came to a head last weekend when he sang this in Nashville at the Bridgestone Arena, and the entire audience was singing along. Yes, after singing to The Way I Talk and Up Down, now everyone in the audience was holding up their phones or lighters and singing Cover Me Up. Some people don't know what to do with that. Some people say, oh my gosh, now we've got this bro bastardizing my favorite artist's best song. And you got other people saying, get over yourself, a good song's a good song. Morgan even seems to be aware of that potential backlash because this is how he introduced the song. This song right here is special. I always make sure to say this every night I play it. This is a song that I did not originally write. It's written by a guy who's one of my favorite artists and one of my favorite songwriters of all time, a guy named Jason Isbell. He went on to say, I was a little skeptical at first because I knew I'd get some heat for it, and I have. But it's been mostly love. Jason Isbell even ended up weighing in on Twitter after a bunch of people said, how do you feel about this guy of all people playing your song? And he tweeted, it can be so painful to bring a song from your heart into the world and then watch it start to fade away after a year or two. I feel like Cover Me Up is very much alive right now, and I'm so grateful for that. Guys, it's really cool that Morgan Wallen is singing my song. That's what I'm trying to say. Everybody just relax. You're about to have to deal with your family at the holidays. This isn't a thing to stress over. I completely agree with Jason Isbell on that point. This isn't a thing to stress over. I think this song is great and we should want the masses to hear it, you know? If we're the type of music fans that want people to understand that there's better country music out there, there's better, more interesting lyrics than the same regurgitated 5 phrases that are coming off of Music Row, well then we shouldn't chide people when they go and listen to that music or cover that music and introduce their huge audience to it. And I think us indie country fans got to make sure we're not addicted to our bitterness when it comes to the mainstream or pop country world. That's been a big growing point for me personally this year, and I think a big part of it was actually the Ken Burns music documentary that showed me really, throughout history, country music has morphed and changed and come back to the center. That doesn't mean there's not things to criticize. That doesn't mean we shouldn't say stuff sucks when stuff sucks. But that also means when stuff's good, let it be good, whether or not it's original. Tennessee Whiskey, the big Chris Stapleton hit, that wasn't an original. Hurt by Johnny Cash, that wasn't an original. But these are great songs nonetheless that are interpreted really well. And when it comes to Cover Me Up, I really love Morgan Wallen's interpretation of this. I think it actually hits really hard. Whereas Jason Isbell sounds maybe a little bit more somber, Morgan sings with a lot more fire. And I think the production on it's awesome. I love hearing the steel bending in the background. 7, 8. I mean, maybe the perfect medium is to have Joey Moy, Florida Georgia Line's main producer and who produced Morgan's album as well, produced songs that are written by Jason Isbell, and the reinterpretation meets somewhere in the middle, and it's a really pleasing place. And I love hearing Morgan Wallen sing about the complexities of the human heart and relationship. It makes me excited that it excites him, because I think this is so much more unifying and cool and invitational than just songs about being a Southern boy. Songs like that are fine. They're not bad in and of themselves. Sure, put one, put two on an album, but I just feel like it's not what art's about. Art is not about just affirming the lifestyle of somebody. Art is about the soul. Art is about how you feel. Art is about the fact that you can't say this with regular words, so you need to put it in song. And that can be joyful, or that can be painful, or it can be both, like in Cover Me Up. I feel like this is such a huge net positive for everyone in the country music space. To me, it's really exciting that when you go on his Spotify, this is becoming one of his biggest hits. It's cool that even other artists are starting to Cover Me Up. It's cool that this song is becoming a well-known country hit, despite the fact that it was never really embraced by country music 6 years ago. I would love to see this song get released to radio. I would love to know what radio would do with it. I would love to see it continue to become an even bigger and bigger hit, not just a viral one. And it just makes me excited to see where Morgan Wallen goes from here. I mean, like I said, he's established a pretty recognizable look. He has this whole bromance with Hardy that is very entertaining to follow on social media or on WWE. He's covering Jason Isbell and seems pretty aware of how that might rock the boat in the industry, which says to me that he's pretty aware of a lot of good music, which just makes me excited to see what comes next from him. And in 2020, I'm guessing it's about time for a new album, and I'll be interested to see what direction he goes. He's early in his career yet. You do have to get a few party songs under your belt before you can start to get really weird. I mean, look at Eric Church. He had to play the game and put out songs like Drink in My Hand before he could go totally weird with albums like The Outsiders or Desperate Man. I just personally think this is really cool. I didn't even love Morgan Wallen's debut album at all, but I see clear potential in him. I love seeing audiences get introduced to great new songs, and I don't see any negative here. I'm like, oh, maybe those people are going to go check out Jason's music, or maybe they'll find out more about Dave Cobb, and then they'll check out Sturgill, and then, they're checking out Tyler Childers. Now they're in the Appalachian scene. Now they're listening to Charles Wesley Godwin. Then they're going to get even weirder. Like, it just can go and go and go and go and go. And there's a deep, deep well of great music. And where people enter into it, it doesn't matter that much to me. I mean, I bet most of the people here on this channel started with pop music. I certainly did. My first album was Now That's What I Call Music and The Backstreet Boys. Those were the first two albums I had. Somehow, that journey led me into being a deep lover of indie country. It's weird how these things work. I just think it's not a big deal. If you're angry that it's being covered and you're a big Jason Isbell stalwart fan, it's okay. You're going to make it through. I'm intrigued to see where Morgan goes from here. What do you guys think? This video is long enough. Goodbye.